But thank you guys all for joining us. This is the first time that the three of us have done a joint webinar, so we're really excited to kind of bring our knowledge, experience, and maybe some would call it expertise, but more just what we've seen together. And so this is a webinar put together by us at infoFluency, Digital Meld, and Magic Asset, and we will all get into introducing ourselves and kind of the different roles that we play in this space. But this is a webinar all about the topic of a unified data ecosystem, which we tried to simplify that as much as we could, and we still came up with words that may mean different things to different people. And so we're going to jump in to be able to kind of break that down, what that means. But in essence, in different forms and fashions, we've all seen companies that have disparate data and data in all different systems and places and have a hard time bringing it into one place to make strategic decisions or to level up their analysis or to do cool internal things with all this evolving technology. And so we're here to kind of talk about kind of the fundamentals of how to connect your data into something that is unified and cohesive, but also then what can happen as a result of having that unified system and what you can do with those connected systems. And so we're going to dive into a lot of that, and we'll get to defining some of that. So Carrie, do you want to talk through the overview and then we'll get into our agenda?
Sure. Thanks, Alyssa. So today, as Alyssa mentioned, we're really talking about unified data ecosystems, but also what does that mean? How can it help you? And why you should be looking at this as a solution for your organization. So anything from AI and advanced analytics and specialized tools that will help you bring this to fruition.
Yes. So we're going to start by introducing ourselves before we get into the meat and potatoes. Carrie, I'll pass it back to you to introduce Digital Meld, and then we'll go down the line.
Sounds good. So Digital Meld is a B2B, business to business technology consulting firm. We're helping organizations harness AI, automation, and make their data work smarter, not harder. We understand how exciting the promise of AI is, but we also realize that realizing its full potential requires the right foundation. That's why we meet organizations wherever they are, whether you're just starting to integrate AI and automation or you're scaling through to advanced solutions. Our approach is really simple. Technology should empower people, not overwhelm them. We cut through complexity, helping teams streamline organizational operations, optimize decision making, and build scalable, intelligent workflows at a pace that works for them. We're super excited to share insights today and explore how these topics can benefit you and help you unlock the full value.
Thanks. Travis, do you want to introduce yourself and Magic Asset?
Sure. My name is Travis Huber. I'm a co-founder of Magic Asset. So we work with asset owners, typically of high dollar equipment, to help them get more out of the asset. And what does more mean? Sometimes it looks like additional service and parts orders for that particular asset. Sometimes that's supporting technicians in the field. Sometimes it's connecting sales representatives to the right equipment at the right time.
Awesome. And on the infoFluency side, we are a boutique data analytics consultancy. We work with companies to help them streamline their data processing and ultimately create data visualization and dashboards that makes decision making and data very glanceable and easy. We really focus on putting usable data in the hands of decision makers and executives, but then also democratizing the accessibility of data through visualization all the way down the organization, and helping companies really be data driven through the visualization and analytics process. So we're really thankful you're here, and hopefully, we can all add something to this conversation. And just so everyone knows, there's 3 different parties here, and hopefully this allows you to kind of see the different ways that we all play together. You can see there's slight overlap, but that's kind of the beauty of how we can all come together to serve cohesively. Okay, a brief look at our agenda for today. We're going to look at, what does this topic even mean? What is a unified data ecosystem? Practically speaking, for companies, what does that mean? What does that look like? infoFluency is going to talk about data strategy and integration, how data can be connected, the value of data, and, like analytics and visualization, as I mentioned. Digital Meld is going to get into leveraging AI and automation and kind of the foundational pieces that can be put in place and just the super cool things that you can do with AI and automation. And then Travis and Magic Asset are going to talk about real world case studies. So super practical situations and companies that they've worked with and kind of how this whole topic plays out. And of course, we'll do some Q&A. So as you have questions, as we go through this content, please put your Q&A in the chat. Okay, Robin, I will pass it over to you to get started with the topic about data strategy and integration and hop right into it.
Thanks, Alyssa. Thank you guys all for being here. It's a pleasure to share with you a topic that we're really passionate about, as you can tell. I am Robin Sturgis. I am focused these days on ensuring that infoFluency delivers exceptional experiences to our clients and meets their data needs in a very customized and high-touch manner. Let's just jump right in. What even does unified data ecosystem mean? That's just kind of a lot of vocabulary there. And at its essence, what that means is all the data in an organization in one place. There's more to it than that, but at its core, that's what we're talking about here. As this slide very wordfully shares, that is a situation that truly is enabled by connecting all of the data-bearing systems in an organization, along with processes, along with tools, and using all of those pieces to create truly an ecosystem around the data that can serve an organization. The end goal there is to make it easy and accessible for people in the organization to understand and use their data. There's lots of layers to this, and I am going, for my part of sharing this, going to stay fairly conceptual, and then our friends and partners at Digital Meld and Magic Asset will get more into the tactical. So I am going to talk about data strategy, but I want to set the stage before I kind of get into the strategy piece to talk about what is the purpose of having a unified data ecosystem. There's lots of benefits, and I'm going to unpack some of them and just touch on them. But I encourage you to think through the things I'm saying and listen for applications in your own organization or those that you advise or those that you are a part of. So reasons or benefits for unifying data across an organization. One is enhanced decision-making. So when a leadership team or decision makers have a comprehensive view of their business performance across all of the business functions, all of the departments, that significantly enhances their ability to make quality decisions. Unified data also surfaces trends and historical patterns that enable forecasting and strategic planning. Those two things are key to good decision making. And then real-time data also enables the decision maker to respond more quickly, especially as markets, economies, even internal company strategies are changing. The decision maker needs to be able to respond very quickly. And sometimes the moment for a key decision passes while someone goes off and tries to prepare data or mines the systems for an answer. And that just leads to an opportunity lost. So enhanced decision-making, that's one benefit. The second benefit is operational efficiency. Not only the operational efficiency in the data piece itself of gathering that data and preparing it, but the operational efficiency that the data itself uncovers or the opportunities for it. Things like inventory optimization, for instance, or expense savings, all of those kind of operational enhancements that can be suggested or those actions that can be surfaced by the data. Improved data quality is another benefit of unified data because you can not only unify the data itself, but you can unify the processes that are in place to keep that data clean and free of duplication and error. Another benefit is enhanced or advanced analytics capability that comes from data that is combined. So imagine that you have combined your financial data with your customer base data or your orders or your inventory. The combination of that data, when it resides in a unified place, enables much more robust analytics and analysis than if your data is siloed. So correlation analysis, cause and effect analysis, some really incredible analysis that can be fostered by having all your data in one place. Another couple things I'll mention is the enablement of innovation and creating a culture of innovation in the thinking of your staff that really comes from fostering this data-driven culture and helps people think innovatively because they've got the data that backs that kind of thinking. So a couple more, and then I'll start talking about strategy. So AI enablement is a big one. So if you've got unified data, then that data is prepared and capable of really supporting and being foundational to an AI practice in a company. Digital Meld is going to unpack AI for us in some really exciting ways. So I'm just going to touch on that and kind of whet your appetite. But the last and final thing that I'm going to mention as far as a benefit of unifying your data is probably the most impactful, and that's competitive advantage. So companies are increasingly using their data to grow, to be more efficient, to utilize their teams, and to uncover opportunities for new markets. The opportunities are endless for the uses of data. And the companies who are doing that and doing it effectively have a significant competitive advantage over those who aren't. For those companies who aren't using their data to an advantage and using it competitively, at best, they're going to miss opportunities. And at worst, I'm bold to suggest that means that their competition will completely win over them. So the stakes are large, and it's a real reality in the marketplace that competitors, whoever they are for you, are really looking at data and how they can use it to win in the market. And so we're here to encourage you to do the same. Okay, so a bit about strategy. So we've talked about unified data and kind of the reasons it's so powerful, but an organization does not get there overnight. It is a process and much more a marathon than a sprint. So a data strategy is that piece that an organization will use to connect their business goals, what they're trying to achieve, with technology, with data solutions. And really at its core, this strategy is two components. It's really laying out what the game plan is going to be for leveraging technology, leveraging data to meet those objectives, and then setting out a roadmap for exactly how they're going to get there. And so those are the two big pieces. And I will say foundational to a good data strategy is always having those business goals at the core, because you don't want to just be putting these plans in place just because it's a good idea or a best practice. It always needs to go back to those business goals. So I will turn this over to our next piece of this conversation and tie these pieces together to say that data strategy in today's environment should always have an AI component to those end goals. And so it's with that and with the suggestion of AI that I turn the conversation over to Brad at Digital Meld for his part in sharing what AI can do and how it can power these data.
Thanks, Robin, for those insights. Hi, everybody. My name is Brad Grew. I'm founder and CEO of Digital Meld. Carrie kind of introduced our company earlier. Just to give you a little bit of quick insights about myself, I've been in enterprise consulting for 12 plus years. 5 of those years was at Microsoft. So I've seen the insides of over 100 Fortune 500 companies. Some of the largest companies you can think of. I've been inside. So I've seen how to run an organization, how not to run an organization, especially from the technology perspective. So hopefully those insights that I've gleaned from that will help guide you kind of here. And so why AI and automation matters. And the big thing is AI matters just because your competitors are going to be utilizing it, right? That's just the nature of the beast. The others that you'll be competing with, they're going to be utilizing AI, and they're probably already utilizing AI, at least to some extent, to improve their lives. AI is a very generalized term. What most people think of when they think of AI is ChatGPT or the likes, those large language models. How businesses are going to be transforming with AI reaches far beyond that, but we won't dive too deep in that now, but we're going to talk more about the concepts that will hopefully get you there. The biggest thing, AI is built on top of the same data that you should be utilizing for your business insights. And so, Power BI and your dashboards and those sorts of things, AI just is going to leverage that same sort of data. So that's the good thing, is the foundation that Robin was kind of talking about. That foundation is your data. Microsoft is Microsoft and Google is Google because of their data, not because of their systems and services. Their system and services are just a manner to capture more data. And the more data they have, the more insights they have. And so all the biggest players in the world, they differentiate themselves with their data, and so hopefully you will too. And why is that? So the more data you have, you can accelerate decision making with AI powered insights. So the same sort of insights you would get from a dashboard or a spreadsheet, you can just have AI, autonomous insights for those perspective. The big thing is automate repetitive tasks. So business process automation is extremely important to AI, and for ways to improve upon that, especially in 2025, you're going to start hearing about agentic AI. Again, we won't dive into that for this conversation, but just know that agentic AI is proactive, where LLM is more reactive. So you're just typing in something in and it's giving you something back, where agentic AI will go out and actually do things on its own. The beauty of, with AI is you reduce human error and improve data consistency. As an example of this would be like an accounts payable process, right? So you get hundreds of invoices in a month, and you have a team that manually inputs those in. Manual entry is generally human error. And so when you automate things, you remove some of those human errors, the sort of things. Data consistency is extremely important for business intelligence, but also for AI and automation. And then enabling real-time analytics and predictive capabilities. And so the more data you have, the more you can predict, right? And so they do this with the stock markets now, the algorithmic traders and those sorts of things. They have this historical data from stocks, and based upon market indicators, they can kind of predict what's going to happen. The last time that the Fed set the rate at 6%, the stock moved, traditionally one way or the other. And so they make trades based upon that. And so you can do those same sort of things when it comes to like purchasing, or long-term planning and those things. So again, if you're not capturing that data now, it's like, what have you done in the last quarter? What have you done in the last 5 quarters? That gives you the ability to kind of just glean more insights to improve upon your business. And again, all of the big players are doing this. Your competitors are probably doing this. And so if you're not doing it, hopefully we can set you on the path to make that happen. And so the key benefits of AI and automation, I won't dive into each of these bullet points, but enhanced data processing. Again, the data processing in the past, it was manual tasks, or there was some basic automation, can be like actually done by the AI itself. So you train the AI is like, this is how we generally process invoices, or this is how we process this data set. It's a repetitive process, so it knows to go through and automate those data pipelines, improve speed and accuracy. Again, the big thing is improving speed and accuracy. AI is not going to replace people, at least not for the foreseeable future. The AI is a 3-pronged problem, right? There's code. That's the actual AI itself. There's power. That's, the nuclear reactors we need, and then to actually produce the power. And then there's compute. That's the chipsets you hear about, NVIDIA and these things going on in Hong Kong and Taiwan and those sorts of stuff. So just to be completely honest with you, power and chipset is going to be our bottleneck for 10 to 20 years at least. So people aren't going to be replaced. They're going to be freed up, right? You're going to enhance your life, not replace you. So just think of all the repetitive tasks you do every day that you wish you could automate away. That's the first place you start. Something as simple as just automating, meeting minutes, something that's that simple. And that's where that intelligent automation comes in. You reduce that manual intervention. That's the whole overall goal, is for you to reduce your hands-on keyboard time. So you can actually go do the proactive work that's meaningful, that actually drives business and improves your life, really. It's improves security and compliance. This is one area that most people don't think about when it comes to AI, but there's all kinds of bots and malware and spyware and all these other sorts of things. And most organizations don't have dedicated security teams. The beauty is you have these tool sets you can train, and they can be your security team. They can be your AI agents that go out and do those sorts of things. The big thing from that perspective is also automated monitoring from, detect fraud and security alerts and those sorts of things. Tens of billions of dollars are siphoned out of our corporate accounts every year by fraud. And so AI is going to help with that. And so that's one of the major reasons that you want to get your data where it can be utilized to, to track those kind of threats. And best practice for AI and automation, again, we're just going to touch on the top bullet points here, but start with a strong foundation, kind of building on what Robin had said earlier, like you're getting your data AI ready. And the beauty, again, when your data is AI ready, it's also in business intelligence ready. So the goal is to set that foundation that you can build upon. And then the big thing is identify high impact AI use cases, right? So AI is about a 2-year journey for most organizations. That's just the nature of the beast. Businesses are large ships. They don't turn quickly. So just kind of set your expectations. And, I tell people all the time, we like being SpaceX, not Boeing. SpaceX started with Starhopper, the little tiny 1 rocket thing that went up 300 feet. And like now, several years later, they're catching rockets with chopsticks, right? So just think that it's small, rapid iteration, and you're just continually improving, or Fibonacci spiral, what that is, a Fibonacci sequence spiral. So you're just taking one little baby step every day, and you gain momentum. And so focus on automating repetitive time consuming tasks to free up your time to actually find out better ways to use AI. Again, leverage AI for observability and governance. So the big thing here is implement those feedback loops for continuous improvement. So that same sort of continuous improvement you have for trying to automate your processes, you do the same thing for your AI. And the beauty is AI is eventually going to be training AI. So once you set that foundation, the AI is going to help improve itself. Obviously, we like having hands on keyboard at some point with automation and AI. And so that you have that last line of defense, until we're several years away from Gen AI and those sorts of things. And so for the time being, humans are going to need to be part of that feedback loop. And that's where that adopt a hybrid AI and human decision-making approach. Like AI enhances insights, but human expertise remains crucial. There's a lot of things that AI is really good at, like coding, documents, those sorts of things. But there's a lot of things. I'm sure we've all asked ChatGPT something and it just gives us these crazy answers, right? So human decision making is going to be very, very vital for the decades to come. And then ensure cross-team collaboration. So the beauty of AI too is it helps you streamline your business operations, not just your operations within your individual teams. The big thing here is having those data engineers or the people who own your data, and they understand your data. The accounting team understands their data, right? And the operations team understands their data. Come together to create a cohesive data silo, just break out of those silos, but a cohesive data like insights together. So again, the goal is AI to free up your time from these repetitive tasks so you can ensure those cross-team collaborations. You have extra time to work with people that you don't normally work with. And the big thing from that point is scaling AI and automation for a competitive advantage. Again, we like to say at Digital Meld, start small, think big. So take that first step, right? And then you slowly scale AI. It's no different than if you just have 1% improvement every day. That's massive improvement by the end of the year, right? So AI will continually evolve as well. So it's one of those things that you're going to have to continue to learn. You're going to have to continue to stay on top of things or engage with partners like infoFluency, Magic Asset, and Digital Meld to help you guide you through that. I'm sure you guys hear all the time that like AI, DeepSeek just a couple weeks ago and Grok of Twitter, they just announced additional things yesterday. So it's just changing every day. It's really hard for us to keep up with, but as long as you continue to evolve and you continue to focus on your internal ways that you can improve, that's the main thing. As long as you continue to improve, you'll utilize the tools that are there as you improve. That's the big thing moving forward. And investing in a unified data ecosystem ensures long-term AI success. Again, your secret sauce is your data. Your competitors, they may do things about 60 or 70% of the way the same as you, but the last 30 or 40% of your business is your secret sauce. You do things your way. You have your data and your insights and those sorts of things that others don't know. We work Digital Meld. We work with construction engineering firms all the time. Just because we work with construction engineering firms all the time doesn't mean we know how they all work. We have a good idea of how they work, but the last 20 or 30%, that's the big thing. When you partner with folks like us, it's a true partnership. It's not a customer relationship. We can't succeed without you, and you can't succeed without us. And I think as long as you realize that as you go forward, you'll see some things from success. The future belongs to organizations that can harness AI's full potential while maintaining human oversight and data integrity. That's really the too long didn't read or the crib notes of what I just said. It's the ones that are focusing on the potential, knowing that it's in its very early stages, but you can still gain insights and you can focus on that ROI really quickly and to make significant changes within your organization. And so from that perspective, I think I'm going to pass it over to Travis. He's going to give us some real world examples of how AI has improved things.
Thanks, Brad. So Brad and Robin, I appreciate both your perspectives, and I think it's easy to see from what they presented the real value of a unified data ecosystem and what can potentially be built on the backs of a unified data ecosystem. The polarity to that is that you may think, well, if I don't have a unified data ecosystem, that's okay. Maybe I just won't, be a forerunner or pushing the envelope in the business. But the reality is, and I can say this with a large degree of confidence as I spent most of my time in operations roles in mid-market manufacturers, is the lack of a data ecosystem results in frankly, terrible results, right? And so many of us on this call have experienced similar sort of scenarios, but, I wanted to use as a case study when I was in operations role for a $2.5 billion system packager that rolled out an ERP system that fell flat on its face. It directly attributed to 4 consecutive quarters of losses and an eventual divestiture of that particular business unit. So that is probably about the worst story that I personally have been part of, but it's not that uncommon. What is more common, though, actually, is I have a couple of case studies where worked with a $50, $100 million or $10 million custom packager as well. And what would happen is we weren't able to get the right data in the right spots to make timely and beneficial decisions. And so as a result, you saw a lot of stagnation of personnel, slow decision making, lack of efficiency. And that's typically where you see companies reach their growth asymptote because they're unable to scale properly and really take advantage of all the benefits that we just talked about from a unified data ecosystem. So definitely well worth your time to invest and to really understand how to move data across your platforms, where, as Robin said, where you can basically see whatever information you need to make timely and quick decisions about the business. So I want to also be a little positive here and talk about a case study where someone did it right. So many of us know John Deere, long-term equipment provider to the effectively agriculture sector. And so these guys did not wait for the world to pass them by. They proactively started implementing IoT, Internet of Things, and software as a service into their business model. And as a result, they moved away from kind of their conventional revenue streams where they were doing a lot of revenue through resellers and part sales. That continued to be a piece of their revenue, of course, but they were able to really focus on the needs of their end customer and really achieve 15 to 20% gains. And this is benchmark information from farmers from their yields, right? And that's through basically the predictive analytics that they were able to implement. And so, what did that result in? 5x the stock within 5 years. And so it's a real world application. Many of us either work for or work with mid-sized companies that may have their data ecosystem a little okay, but it's not where it needs to be. And so I just want to kind of tie this in and say, like, hey, whenever it's done right, the opportunities are boundless and definitely worth pursuing. The other thing that is worth mentioning, we talk a lot about gathering data, and it's always important to gather the right data at the right time for the use case, right? So, our self magic asset, we concern ourselves, our day to day is high dollar assets. And how are we able to create effectively a data layer that's lightweight, that gives the right information to the right people at the right time? And so something to think about there is you have different assets. They're all nodes in your ecosystem, touch points that people may be interacting with externally, internally, etc. So the important question often is to ask, what information do you really need from that node? For instance, if you have an asset that's not moving anywhere, you probably don't need a GPS on it. If you have a rental asset, that's a different story. And so does that node actually need to transfer information or not? Our Self Magic asset, we call ourselves placing a cloud data layer on critical equipment. We've had folks come to us and say, hey, I've got some ball valves that I'd like to use your system on. And these ball valves are $40 products, and it doesn't make sense, right? And so oftentimes we miss the forest through the trees, right? We're looking at like, okay, I need to apply technology. My counsel there, as well as infoFluency and Digital Meld as well, would be it's fit for purpose, right? There's plenty of great tools available. It's just a matter of applying the right technology at the right time to the right product, right? And so that's effectively another element of this is, we have a lot of technology available, but don't just open up the coffers and throw every single sort of tech solution at every single problem that you have. So definitely encourage, whether it's you as a service provider, whether it's you as a leader inside your company, to really consider this concept of fit for purpose technology. How can you make your tech stack agile to where you're collecting the right data at the right time and delivering the right assets or the right data to the right stakeholder? And so I guess with that being said, I'll turn it over to our host.
Yeah, I can take it from here. I think, there's a common thread that goes through what everyone shared is that summed up well in what Brad said is start small, think big. And so, we wanted to offer a very basic, very first step for anyone that's working with or, within a company that it's like, this is all great. And, I want to be really intentional about how we build this and how we, interact with AI and how we incorporate that into our company, or maybe you're advising a company that's thinking about that. And this may seem very straightforward, but just for the sake of offering a very basic first place to start is something we call like a data inventory, or just an assessment, basically mapping out all of the systems that you currently have or your client currently has and where all that data lives. So, what software systems do we have in place? What spreadsheets are we using consistently? Maybe it's even, paper records, wherever the data lies, kind of mapping that out and then identifying, the most important and frequently used data sources. That's kind of why we started with the value of data and the data strategy piece, is because that's kind of the data, as Brad said, and everyone said, is a foundational to all the other pieces and advancements. And so this is a place where you can just say, all right, what data do we have? Where does it live? And what's hard about accessing it or using it? Sometimes it's documenting the processes that are very manual to pull it from one place to another, or go through a reporting cycle that can be very lagging. So very basic place to start. And if you feel like we're past this, I'm working with a company, I'm in a company that's more advanced than this and ready for kind of next steps, we'd be happy to talk about that directly as well. But just wanted to offer a very simplistic way to start. And now, Carrie, I think we're going to move into Q&A now that we've all kind of shared some content and answered some questions. I think we have about just a few minutes before we wrap up, maybe 5 for Q&A.
Okay, sounds good. Let's see where we want to get started here. So, Robin, would you like to share with us maybe a recent quick win for one of your infoFluency clients? Just a way like they had a burning problem and were able to kind of leverage some area of the unified data ecosystem to overcome that. Just a quick anecdote.
I'm sure. A client of mine comes to mind who was preparing for exit, and they had some concerns of perceived risk among their potential buyers. One of which was that they felt that their buyers would think that they were over allocated in selling to oil and gas, and they thought that their buying population would perceive that as a risk. So they set about using data that they knew could be unified, but was not yet, to prove that they were not overselling into oil and gas, that they were more diversified than that. And they were successful in pulling data from a subscription market industry data platform and combining it with their sales to their existing customers. The combination of that data allowed them to proactively share with the market or their potential buyers that they were in fact diversified. And while they were selling to oil and gas, they weren't overselling to oil and gas, that they were selling to lots of other industries as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. And I just want to encourage everyone in the audience to go ahead. Don't be shy. Drop your questions into the chat. We're happy to answer them. And while folks are doing that, Brad, do you want to also share a quick real world success story of how companies are leveraging AI and automation to conquer data silos?
Yeah. So, we see this all the time that we tell customers, especially the mid-market customers who want to operate at an enterprise level, the beauty is the technology is there. As an example, if you have Microsoft 365, if you're connected to this Teams with your corporate account, you probably already have these tools already here. You may just not know they exist. From an automation perspective, that starts with like Microsoft Power Automate. So you can automate things in your daily workflow now for a tool that you're already paying for, your company's already paying for. And the goal is, to, again, start small, think big. So start just, automating your inbox or automating, your meeting minutes or things of that nature. And as an example, again, our goal is to let these mid-market companies grow to be an enterprise without necessarily having to increase headcount. That's the goal. And so, an example we have is accounts payable is very, very easy to automate. It's something that's just so easy to automate. The AI knows it really, really well, how to read invoices really, really well. So you can take something, we had a customer who recently had 120 invoices a month that they're processing. So we could free up dozens of hours a week, for their accounts payable process. And that's a very, very quick lift. That's something you can do a week or two of work to get that completely automated. And again, you're capturing data and insights from those invoices that you weren't necessarily capturing before because you're ingesting that with AI and basically able to get more insights from that perspective. So, at any given time, you'll know exactly how many invoices are still outstanding, and you don't have to load up your ERP system and go through 17 clicks to get to the information. You can just find it really, really quickly.
Awesome. Thank you. So we have a question from the audience. Jennifer has a question on data strategy. So infoFluency, y'all can take this, and then Brad and Travis, feel free to add color at the end of that if you so desire. Jennifer asks, How would this apply to startups or SMBs that may not currently have a data strategy? And is there a particular company size that this applies to?
I'll answer, that's a couple of questions in one. I would say that in dovetail to what Brad shared, every company of every size can start with something, and every company of every size has data. It's a matter of scale or volume, but everyone has data. And so every forward step in utilizing your data, organizing it well, is something that brings value. So it doesn't have to be big or expansive to bring some value. And the other thing that I would say, particularly in terms of startups typically are very small and scrappy, but have big visions of where they're going and have big plans for scale. And so even in the earliest stages, when the firm is very, very small, to have a mindset that includes data and data strategy in the long-term vision and keeping it in mind for where you're headed, to be very future-looking in the way that you approach data and even the small systems that you might implement. If you have that long-term vision about where you're going and what it can do for you down the road, then it's much more likely that data actually will fulfill what you have in mind for it and will bring you incremental benefits along the way.
Awesome. Thank you. So we've got about another minute and a half. Travis, do you want to give us just what's your top takeaway for the audience? Like if they leave with one thing related to this holistic topic or magic asset specifically, what would it be?
Yeah, it's just intentionality is the word that comes to mind. So too often what we see is things assemble accidentally, like, hey, this person likes this piece of, or this CRM, this guy likes this ERP, and everything kind of melds together. And then they figure out, does this make sense? So, and it kind of dovetails with Jennifer's question, is just being intentional about what you're doing. That doesn't mean tons of research. That just means like, okay, how is data flowing and what does this look like when right now we're at $20,000 a year in revenue? What does this look like at 20 million? Now you don't have to map out every single piece of that journey, but just have a concept in mind and just be intentional and think of this as an issue, because too often we see that clients and customers it doesn't even surface until things are broken.
Thank you. Really appreciate the questions. Wish we had time for more. However, hopefully we've piqued your interest on a variety of these areas of this wonderful topic. So we have our contact information for all of us up here. We would love to speak with anyone that has further questions. And with that, I'll throw it over to Alyssa to close us out.
Yeah, our ask of all of you would just be to connect with us. We're all active on LinkedIn. And as a follow-up, we will also be sending out what we're calling just like an AI readiness checklist. So it'll basically compile a lot of the things we talked about today in a downloadable resource, just as a kind of a mental list to go through with clients or with your own internal company. So you'll be getting that, attached to a follow-up email in the next day or two. But we really appreciate all of you guys joining us, and we would love to connect with you outside of this webinar. And with that, it's 12:45. So we'll shut this down. We appreciate all of you, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.